All right, Shalom. First off, I want to start off with saying all praises, honor, and glory is due unto Yahweh by Shem Yahushai by Shem Kakadash. That's all praises to the world calls God, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh. By Shem meaning in the name Yahushai being the name of the only begotten Son. I also want to say double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone and peace and mercy to the hopeful like preaching this word in truth and sincerity. The brother talks about a Great Millstone, Arizona camp. Well, with another video to edify. And I wanted to go on some of the stuff that's happening, with the ripple effects that are happening caused by this whole Russian-Ukraine situation, right? And one of the things to take a big look on now that these sanctions are starting to hit and that they're trying to grow those sanctions is what it means for global markets, right? And these things tie to prophecy, right? And basically this is going to cause the money to fail globally. This is going to cause the vintage to fail globally, right? So it says Europeans to pay a price. It says for Russian sanctions, top EU official. It says the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has acknowledged that those sweeping sanctions that the sweeping sanctions the bloc has imposed on Russia in recent days over Moscow military operation in Ukraine will have a negative impact on Europeans too. It says responding to the Euronews correspondent's remark on Sunday that of course Europeans in Europe will have to pay a price for these measures. Von der Leyen replied in an affirmative, saying that every war comes at a cost, right? So in a time where financial scrutiny is at a great, right, in a time where the world was put on lockdown for the last 2 years, and the average person's money is gone, they're saying the cost is worth it, right? They're saying the cost is worth it. It's not. Right? These are two Edomite nations that were really one, and that one just wants to bring back together again. Right? It says, however, according to officials, Brussels is not daunted by the possible economic blowback from the Russian sanctions. It will continue to prop up Ukraine with strong solidarity. Now, one thing that's going to happen off the back of this is the fact that now the price of oil is going up drastically. Okay, let me make sure I save that. Go here. And this is what Europeans are paying for. It says gas prices in Europe jumped 35% amid Russia's supply worries. It says April futures exceed $1,450 per 1,000 cubic meters on Monday. It says prices of natural gas in Europe has risen by 35% at the opening trade on Monday. Data from London Stock Exchange ICE shows higher energy costs are being propelled by supply worries due to sanctions against Moscow related to the conflict in Ukraine. It says Russia provides around 40% of the continent's gas supplies. 40%. Mind you, the Russian pipeline, the Nord Stream 2, was supposed to increase the amount of gas that could go into the country. And now they're putting these sanctions against Russia. Sanctions against Russian oil makers, Russian gas producers, right? So these are some of the prices Europeans will have to pay now. What happens in a system that is so globally dependent on all these other factors, all these other countries, is huge ripple effects, and this is a huge ripple effect. It says April features that at the TTF hub in the Netherlands jumped 1,454 per 1,000 square per 1,000 cubic meters. It says the spike price comes amid sweeping anti-Russian sanctions introduced last week by the U.S., EU, Great Britain, and a number of other states after Moscow launches a special demilitarization operation in Ukraine, seen by the West as an act of aggression. Right? So this is these things are causing other nations to hate America because it's making the average person's life that much harder. That much harder. Right? To where Britons were complaining about the $200 to $300 spike in the price of the price that it cost to heat their homes in 2020. Imagine this, right? So, yeah, one more article, and I'll get some precepts. So this is last article, right? It says Russia's vast offshore reserves could, I believe they meant to be foil international money markets. It says Moscow holds 300 billion abroad. A Credit Suisse strategy estimates the world's money market will suffer if Ukraine-related sanctions target Russia's huge offshore reserves, according to Credit Suisse, as reported by Bloomberg on Thursday. It says the Swiss bank giant says Moscow has about 300 billion of foreign currencies held abroad, enough to disrupt money markets if the reserves are frozen or if Moscow is forced to suddenly move them due to sanctions over the crisis in Ukraine. The business outlet quotes Credit Suisse Group AG Strategy Zoltan Poser are saying. Now, what this basically means is if the assets are being frozen, you have to trade those assets out into a currency that you can actually use. When you trade those assets out, they're just out there. Nobody has them, which makes what that currency that you were holding those assets in, right, drop dramatically. Not only that, when you jump down in this article, it says, where's it at? Deposits. Yep, here it is. It says right there, according to Euro Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, the measure would curb deposits held by Russia's elite so they cannot hide their money anymore in safe havens in Europe. So basically, it's taking money out of those countries. is legit just messing up the whole thing. And these are reasons why the scriptures tell you. Hey, let me get this. Revelation 17 and 6. It says, "In the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast." Hey, let's go to that image. Right, so the 10 horns, right, which I saw on the beast. What are the 10 horns? It's Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg. And now these are all the countries that have to put up these sanctions to get to freeze Russian assets, making it so that they can't, convert their Russian dollars into euros. Right? So Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Greece, Spain and Portugal, England and Ireland, and West Germany. Right? So these are all the nations that are being directly impacted by these Russian sanctions. It's causing gas to jump. It's causing the price of gas to jump up. The price of energy is big. And it could potentially put a lot of these countries at a deficit because what? All this money is just, all these Debt notes are going to be floating around with nobody willing to buy it, which is going to cause their currency to drop, meaning greater inflation. This is how these things happen, and this is why Revelation 17:6, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh as it were fire, eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Right? This is enough to make these nations hate what the whore, America, that's making them do these things. Because all these sanctions came off the back of the U.S. The U.S. brought out the means to have these sanctions go forward, and all these other nations have to follow it. Because it's the whore that rides the beast. Right? But this is also causing what? The vintage. Isaiah 32:10, it says, many days and years shall you be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. And this has already happened. I sent out a video to Akim in our group chat where this Russian woman married this American dude. And he knew she was full of shit, so he never signed the papers for her to get citizenship. So now, and she split from the dude in the States, and she decided to get her simple ass on OnlyFans, and now all that money, OnlyFans froze her out. She can't make no money on OnlyFans. She can't change any of that money that she had in Russian dollars into U.S. dollars to function, and she's about to get shit back to Russia. She's fucked. The vintage is failing. The gathering is not coming. And a lot of in this stuff that's happening over there with Ukraine and in Russia, what they're going through, this is going to be a global event. Everybody's going to be dealing with this. Hey, OnlyFans isn't going to matter when you bitches got to go and go through a draft, because that was made a thing where women wanted to be equal to men so much that now women are selected for the draft now. And you're not ready. You're not ready, right? The price of all goods are going to shoot up like they are now. It costs almost $45 to fill my tank today. Almost $45 to fill my tank. I drive a regular 4-door sedan, and it's a hybrid. Ain't no giddy up in this thing, and it cost me $45 to fill it up. Right? Prices of gas is shooting up. Price of living shot up already, and it's gonna get worse. Right? There's a debt bubble that's been talked about that is waiting to pop. Now these sanctions can exacerbate that, and this is what this devil wants. He wants a reason to collapse this current economic system. This is why Russia was already talking about, to get around these sanctions, they're going to trade in cryptocurrencies. Right? But there hasn't been extremely huge talks about the regulation of cryptocurrency because they haven't done it yet. So they're just letting these things ride out because they have a plan. Right? These things have been prepared. Now this is let me get this. And Apostle Tahar brought this about a little while ago. This is Revelation 6 and 6. It says, and I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and a measure of barley for a penny, and see that thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Now that latter part, the oil and the wine, is going into the anointed and the doctrine, the truth, this Bible, right? But there's going to come that measure of wheat for a penny and the measure of barley, right? when you go back to the Roman Empire, right? The whole thing about a day's wage was a pence, right? So, so basically, you're gonna have to use an entire day's wage to get a measure of these things. Going into super inflation, man. These things are being prepared. You're not gonna be able to get around these things. The price of goods are gonna shoot up globally. Right? The scriptures tell you the money failed. Let me get that. This is Genesis 47 and 15. No, that's not the one. That's not the one I want. I want it's one, and I think it's Kings. So I can forgive me. I don't have any here it is. 2 Kings 6 and 25 says that there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver. An ass's head, a donkey's head. Remember, in Israel, we weren't allowed to eat donkeys. We weren't allowed to eat mules, right? So something that was not supposed to be eaten, and the head of it, which has little to no meat, was sold for 80 pieces of silver. That's a score is 20. So 80 pieces of silver, right? Something that's extremely valuable, right? And a fourth part of a cab of dove's dung, doo-doo, a dove's dung, sold for 5 pieces of silver. A bird's poop sold for 5 pieces of silver. That was when inflation hit because of the lack of things. And this is what's going to be prepared right now. We're in really serious times, man. If you're not being humble, if you're not seeking the Lord with all you can, and the way you seek your Lord, the way you seek Yahweh Bashim Shai, isn't in word, it's in deed. If you're not humbly presenting yourself, if you're not dealing truthfully with your brother, your neighbor, right, as the scriptures say, and it's not talking about those in the world, right? It's talking about those in the faith. The scriptures tell you, let us do good, especially to those that are of the household of faith. If you're not sitting here trying to deal righteously on a day-to-day, you're putting yourself in a very bad situation at these last days. Right? You better have yourself some riches stored up in heaven, or as you will be left out, starved to death, killed in the streets. Watch some of these videos that just pop up with the conflict that's going on in Russia. Right? Watch some of those videos. Do you want to be in that position? Or do you want to have the trust that the Heavenly Father is going to protect and provide for you? And if you want to be protected and provided for, right? Read Psalms the 15th chapter. It tells you how to be accepted of the Lord, how to get the blessing of the Lord. If you want to be protected and provided for by the Heavenly Father, you better fit those things, man. And you women, don't think that because you're a woman, the Lord is going to go easy on you. Remember, the Lord created you. You'll sit if you can. You as a person can make anything with your hands and deal with that anything in your hands whatever way you want. You're in the Lord's hands. But just a quick lesson. Lord is edifying a lot of information. But these are some of the ripple effects that are happening. Shalom.